Welcome everyone to a new YouTube video, and I'm not sure if this is going on my usual channel or I'm going to make a new channel for specifically this type of content, but this is how I went from a 30K a month closer to a 100K a month operator. Okay, you can call me operator, sales manager, sales agency owner. I don't really know the term, but this is how I went from making some money to more money. Okay, and just to give you context, I was making good money closing, making 25, 30 grand a month. My top month in commissions was 35 grand. And this is what my life looked like all day. My desk would be a mess because I would have energy drinks and water and coconut water and smoothies just sitting there because I was taking calls for literally 10 hours a day. And then I would sit there and look homeless because I literally couldn't get a haircut because I didn't have the time. And my barber would pull up like once every 3.5 weeks at midnight because I couldn't leave the house because I was on calls all day. That was not because I needed to do that. It's because I wanted to do that because I wanted to stack as much cash as possible and get as good as possible at this thing. But realistically, you can only do that for so long. You can only take 10 calls from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. for so long. This was like for a launch on like a Saturday. And I think literally everyone but one person showed up because it was for a launch. And I don't remember how many people I closed from it, but yeah, like most of my time when I was closing, I was literally taking calls from like 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. at night. And obviously I would have no shows. So I would lift, I would eat, I would go on walks and other stuff. But like for the most part, this is my life, right? For a long time. And of course I couldn't do that forever. And I wanted my time back. So I had two options. Either I could start a completely different business like ecom or some other type of business and use none of the skills that I had before, or I could learn a few more complementary skills and start managing and operating teams. So that's what I decided to do. I started to learn more skill sets and actually get into like more of the operating space rather than starting a whole new business. Okay. So what even is growth operating and what am I even doing? Right. So it is simple, or sorry, I'm just going to keep this as simple as possible. It is helping creators either start or scale their current info product or coaching program and optimizing their sales process and the marketing process to obviously make more money. That is simply what it is. And to start, I was already really good on the phones. I was a closer for 2.5 years. I was always the best on my team, and I was pretty good at what I did. I was already a coach inside a Closer Cartel, so I was running like pretty much all the fulfillment for Closer Cartel. I was obviously already doing call reviews because I was a coach, and so I had a lot of things that I learned, but there was a lot more things that I needed to learn. Okay, so I needed to focus on learning operations, so like building out CRMs, Slack, using Zapier, leading teams from the front. Like even though coaching is kind of similar, it's not 100% the same thing. Building out type forms, onboarding reps, running sales team meetings, be intentional with messaging. What I mean by that is like even messaging in a VSL or the copy on the landing page or even in the type form, being intentional with that stuff, communicating with the sales team, all these type of things I had to learn. So I had to learn a lot. But luckily, the team that I was actually closing for gave me a shot as the sales manager and to manage the team underneath me. So the first thing they had me implement was a phone setting team, and I had to manage them, right? I think before then, the most they had ever collected with the phone setting team before was 20K in a month. And keep in mind, this is a team doing like 300 or 400K a month pretty consistently. So it's pretty crazy that their phone setting department has never made much money. But the first month that we actually did that, of course, I took on students that I had been training and working with before, placed them onto the team. And the first month we added an extra 150 grand from phone setters that first month. So it was really good ROI for them. And of course, I was paid out on that. But that kind of showed me, hey, I can actually know what I'm doing. Obviously, I'm going to be honest, like I wasn't great back then. I was just learning. But I did pretty good for my first time. There's a lot of things to learn from. And keep in mind, literally everyone that I had placed on that team did not have really much experience. And I'll tell you exactly why I did that in the first place. And then some other notable experiences that I've had so far with managing teams. I've scaled the team from 30K a month when I started working with them to we did 400K last month. This was within about 6 or 7 months. This one kind of showed me of like an actual process from like literally almost zero to hitting big numbers. me replacing the whole sales team, me changing the whole process, us changing a lot with the marketing, changing a lot with the sales, and just like a whole revamp. And it ended up working out super, super well. We did another launch for a client, and we collected over $1.2 million in the first 30 days of working together. This one was recently, and I did a launch last year as well where we did $4 million in a week, and I managed a team of 60 people at once. So I've done a lot of it, and this is only like a few of the notable stuff. I've done a lot of other teams doing multiple six figures a month as well. But this is what I had to learn, and this is what I had to do in order to achieve these things and be where I am today, managing about 7 or 8 teams at this point. So first thing I had to get down was hiring. And if you know anything about the sales space right now, by far the biggest bottleneck in managing sales teams is just continuing to find quality reps. So whether that's your reps do well for a little bit and then they stop performing, whether your reps are really, really good, but then they start their own things, whether they are missing sales team meetings, you have to fire them. It is just very tough to find competent, hungry sales reps that produce quality for months and months and months over time, right? That's by far probably the biggest bottleneck in my business, right? Even for me as a sales coach and as a sales trainer and someone that has like a personal brand in the space, it's still a hard thing. But that is probably the biggest advantage I had was having a hiring pool for my own coaching program. So like anytime someone comes into Close the Cartel and they're competent, they're good, they're showing up to coaching calls, like I want them on my teams, right? Because they trust me, I trust them. And there's just a mutual level of respect there. And they end up staying a lot longer than most reps that I get from other places. So that's why I even push the sales training program. And that's why I still coach in there as well. So probably the biggest lesson I learned from this is that, like, let's take for example, that 30K a month team. There's no way at the beginning that I could have hired quote unquote A players, but I had to hire people that had the intangibles of A players and then turn them into A players, right? So the intangibles that I look for are like, we fill out your end-of-day report. Are you constantly giving ideas for me to implement so we can get to the next level as a team? Are you someone that needs to be reminded to do a bunch of things 24/7? If you're someone that I don't even have to manage very often, I just have to watch a few calls a week, but you're going to do your end-of-day reports, you're going to fill out your trackers, you're going to update the CRM, and you're just going to do that without me asking, like, that's amazing. I'd rather have you to start than some A player that, and trust me, I've had before, that are pretty decent on calls. Like, they're most of the time they're not amazing, but they're pretty damn good. But then they don't do anything. They don't fill out the CRM. They don't do the end of day report because I guess there's just ego attached to it, and it ends up becoming way more work chasing after these people than just getting the people that are not A players yet, but just getting them skill set wise better. And then their intangibles are already there, and honestly, they're even more grateful half the time too. So this is what I've learned. Like, most of the time, you're not going to hire A players unless you're already like managing a $2 million a month team. But if you're starting like a new operation, a new team, like hire people that are just going to work like horses. And think about it. Like, if you do $700 in a day, there's practically no way that you're not going to get better at the skill of sales, correct? And this is why I hire people like this. So like, this is our setter, Ryan. Ryan, if you're watching this, shout out. But like, Ryan's been a pleasure to work with, and obviously he didn't set that many calls this day. The pickup rate was atrocious, but like look at the like, most people would stop after $100. Most people would stop after 200, maybe even 300, 400. Ryan just keeps freaking going because he knows he has to get better, and that's without a power dollar, by the way. That's just straight grit and blood, sweat, tears wins. Not really wins, but yeah, like that's just straight like off a close with no power dollar. It's pretty crazy. I'd be surprised if he worked more than 13 and a half hours. But yeah, I just hire people like this that are just going to work their fucking tail off, and there's physically no way, it's almost impossible for them not to get better. And if you look at Ryan over the progression of, even when was that, like May compared to now, he is 20 times better, right? Because just reps, and he does his end of the report. I don't even have to ask him, and he does his shit, right? That's an A player, right? Probably wasn't an A player when he started, right? But we've worked together, and now he's out. Now he's an A player. Okay? So hiring has been probably one of the biggest bottlenecks, but I think I've kind of found a good system to it. Okay. Next thing is operations. So this is like a huge advantage that I had from other quote unquote sales managers, that I learned how to do CRMs, build outs, and using Zapier, building out Slacks, all those type of things. And I've been paid up to like $6K for a one-time build of these things before. And it's just like a little easy skill to learn on top. It's a little bit hard to learn at first, but like once you get it down, it's pretty easy to get. But yeah, like I get paid to do these probably like once every other month. And it's a nice little cherry on top of some of the deals that I do. Like sometimes I'll do like a upfront fee, and then obviously rev share. So like it'll be like a 5K upfront to build out the CRM and hire the sales guys, which for me, it used to be a lot easier than it is, but like it's still relatively easy compared to other people. And then for me to build a CRM, which I've gotten accustomed to doing, and I can do it pretty efficiently now. And unfortunately, these things are a little hard. Again, they're harder to learn. But once you get it down, it's a lot easier. And most of this is what I learned from our COO here at Closer Cartel. He's an absolute wizard when it comes to this stuff. But again, it's a little like nice cherry on top, and it's always nice. It's a huge add on for the business as well, because like let's say it's a newer business and they don't have like a COO or they don't have anyone handling operations. Imagine if your sales manager can just handle the operations for you, because realistically, there's not like too many things in like a 100 or 200K a month business that come up that we would even need a COO for. So it ends up working out super well. So these are things like, again, set the CRM, making sure there's appropriate smart views, setting up Zaps. So call notes will automatically go into the CRM and change the opportunity and the lead status for them. It's making sure that your end-of-day reports come through Slack, making sure that EODs automatically fill in a spreadsheet, so all the numbers are easily put into a spreadsheet for the manager and the closers, all those type of things. So like learning how to use Zapier and any automation skills to do all of that, huge bonus. And like that's something I was a little scared about when I first started, but it became pretty easy now. Number 3 is learning how to track the correct data. Okay. So one of the biggest things I needed to learn, and what I did learn, was how to make database decisions. So what that actually looks like is like, let's say our show rate's 30%, right? By the way, if you have a 30% show rate, you got to fix something. But imagine having a 30% show rate, and then every single day we have a sales team meeting, and I would just keep going over like how to handle the think about it objection, right? Cool, it's good to do some training, right? But like that doesn't fix the bottleneck issue in the business, right? Like if I just spent more time making sure the sales guys are actually reaching out and they're actually calling these people and making sure the pre-call emails are going out and make sure the type forms dialed and all that. If I spent more time doing those things, that'll be a better use of my time in that part of the business rather than just doing a bunch of stuff about objection handling, right? If my slot utilization is over 85%, meaning that 85% of the slots that we have per day are being taken, cool, I need to hire a new closer, right? Using my data to know what the next lever to pull is inside the business, right? And at the beginning, I would just like look at close rate and I'll be like, okay, cool, we're good to go. Like now I look at show rate, slot utilization, like cost or average cash per deal or call, all those type of things, right? All those super important, because like at the end of the day, how do you really know what your top, like who your top closer is? If you're going by purely call close rate, you could have a dude like absolutely just ripping calls and ripping cash, but like they get a 3 pay for everything, right? But then I have a guy with like a 10% less close rate, but he has a $800 per book call more than the other guy, and technically he's bringing in more. Like our ROI for that person is way more than the dude with the higher close rate, right? So I think average cash per call, average cash, per call is actually the best metric for closers, because that like literally shows your ROI on the closer, right? Like let's say your cost per call to get a call on your calendar is $200, and he every calendar he has on his call, the average is $1,400. We're seeing like a 7x return with this guy. Okay, cool. Let me give him as many calls as possible so we continue to make money, right? And yeah, this helped me cut out pointless meetings as well and only focus on what needs to be done. For example, we've had a team recently where like our influencer just recently just stopped posting content, no leads were coming in, and I was like, there's like nothing, like I could sit here and like train with the guys and stuff like that, but like we haven't had volume in 3 weeks. Like I just stopped running meetings for them. I don't know if that was necessarily the right thing to do, but like it's just not a good use of our time, my time, and even the salesperson's time to sit there and talk about the same thing over and over again. Yeah, so we haven't really been getting any leads because of this, and this. Let's try the 6 test blocks this week. Like it just like wasn't like worth the time. So obviously the data, the amount of leads, the amount of calls we're getting told me, okay, I don't even need to run meetings. Let me just make sure the influencer starts posting so we can get some leads in, right? So simple stuff like that, right? Number 4, running sales team meetings at the highest efficiency, right? I used to just get on meetings and I would just run pointless meetings. Then I would think about how the team just wasted an hour. If we, like, think about it. If we had a packed calendar and let's say I had 3 closers, right? And that's 3 slots that was taken for a pointless meeting. If one of those guys showed up in the close, right? Like we're just missing out on money as we have more pointless meetings, right? So like I cancel meetings all the time. Like if I have one team that's like pretty much on autopilot, and I really don't have to do much for them anymore because they're just so well trained and they're just so accustomed to doing their under reports and just doing everything. Like I just focus on stuff like, okay, how can we get more calls on the calendar? How can we do this? How can we do that? Even though I'm not the marketer, like we've just been consistently at like a 7% show rate and like a 45% call close rate. It's like, yeah, I could probably work a little harder to get this up to like a 50%, but like even a 50% call close rate is pretty high. I was like, okay, let me just get these motherfuckers more calls, because that's often what happens, right? So running sales team meetings at a high efficiency is a huge thing. Another huge advantage of me too is like a lot of my guys came from the coaching program as well. So like why that's important is because these guys end up talking to me like 7 times a week. Because let's say we have 3 sales team meetings or 4 sales team meetings, and then we have 3 coaching calls a week. They talk to me every single day. So like, there's no way that these guys don't get better if they talk to me 7 days a week and they're training with me 7 days a week, right? But now, like right now, if you were to ask me, do you love meetings? Hell no, right? But unfortunately, as a manager, like that's literally like your one thing that you have to do. But the fact that I hate meetings, I make sure that we have something to talk about. I make sure that we have reasons to even get on the call in the first place. If not, I'm just canceling that shit, right? So sending Loom videos, answering questions through text. If it doesn't need to be on a call, I'd much rather do that than ruins everyone's efficiency for the day by getting on a pointless meeting. So that was a huge thing that I had to learn, and that I'd say I'm still figuring out to this day. Number 5 is helping out with front-facing stuff and providing feedback to the marketing team. So what this is like obviously having the data, watching as many sales calls as possible. Also, a huge thing is training your team to only give you good feedback. What I mean by that is that like most salespeople you ask, like, okay, like what's going on with the leads? They're like, oh, they're cold. They're this. I'm like, I don't want to hear they're cold. Yeah, of course we're running paid traffic. Like they're going to be cold, right? But like, what's happening? Oh, they're asking this. They're asking these specific questions. They're asking this. They're asking this. Okay, cool. That's actually tangible. I can do something about that to fix that, right? I can't fix. Oh, they give me the think about it objection. Like that's like we could figure that out later. But like I just want my team to give me like good feedback. So I've trained them in a way to give me the best feedback as opposed to like, oh, these leads are cold. They're not able to close. Instead, better feedback is like, well, they ask these questions. They're not really sold on the business model. So like, let's probably send stuff before the call to do X, Y, and Z. Okay, cool. That's a better idea than just complaining. Oh, these leads are cold, right? So like, if you take that as a manager, you're just priming your team to continue to keep giving you feedback like that. And does feedback like that help you? No, it doesn't, right? So helping and training my team to give me feedback, like good feedback, has helped a lot. And now that I understand show rate, buyer awareness, just overall sales process is hand in hand with marketing, I give as like, and the cool thing about it is like most of the deals I take on are either with a good friend of mine or even my brother. So I just give as much feedback as possible to the marketing team. Yo, let's add this FAQ page. Yo, let's send pre-call emails. Let's mention this in the VSL. Let's add this to the site form, just based off of like, everything I'm hearing from the sales guys, but also the data itself and watching calls. Oh, do we keep getting these questions? Okay, let's throw that on an FAQ page. Let's put that after the post booking or after they book a call. They don't even understand the business model. Okay, cool. Let's send as many emails as we can with providing value so they understand the business model. Oh my God, foreigners keep booking. Okay, cool. Let me add this to the site form so that stops happening. All of those kind of stuff, right? So number 6, being organized and actually primed to managing people. What that means is like, if you were one of those kids that in school where you just like, you take a sheet of paper and just shove it at the bottom of your backpack and then you figure it out later and then you figure out there's a carton of rotten milk and then your school assignment from 2.5 weeks ago in there, like managing is going to be a learning process. You got to think about how unorganized like your normal people are. And now if you're not organized, then you have like 7 people that are unorganized and everything is just unorganized. Like it just doesn't work well, right? And this is still a huge learning process for me, but having everything as a sales rep can need, like payment links, contracts, knowing how to onboard customers, everything that could ever have user error, I just make it as idiot proof as possible, right? So what I do is I make it like it's called a one pager. I learned this from one of my people I got consulting from. It's called a one pager. It just I don't know why I needed to learn that. It's so self-explanatory, but it just has everything. It has framework, all your SOPs. It has the payment links. It has how to onboard a client, how to make a payment link in WAP, sales call recordings, more about like follow-up assets, like everything you possibly need is just all in one sheet. So if a sales rep, it's always like, where's this? It's on your one pager. Where's this? It's on your one pager. Where's this? It's on your one pager. It's just there, right? Like, because you wouldn't even believe the amount of times that I have to like, I'll literally be walking outside and be like, and a payment or a sales rep's like, oh my God, like I need this payment link, like send it to me now. And I just sit in the middle of the street and just make a payment link and send it to them. Don't get me wrong, that still happens. And it's my own fault because I don't set up the organization to make sure that happens. Like, for example, I've had a team for 4 months and I just forgot to let like 2 reps into our payment processor. I'm like, bro, that would have saved so much time if I just added them to the payment processor like 2 months ago, right? It's just little things that fly over your head. You're like, oh, I'll take care of that when I get back. And you never do. And then it takes up your time late in the day and you're like, fuck, why didn't I do that? Like, that's just the name of the game with sales managing. Sales managing is literally just like breaking down fires every single time they come up because sales is such a fast-paced thing, right? Like if you're a marketing guy and you need something, like you could wait like 2 hours and be like, yo, can you give me that thing? Like if your sales rep needs a payment link, I need it now, because or else that prospect might get mad and they might leave the call, right? So like things need to be happening quick. So like I'm on my phone 24/7. And sales will call me, like, which is all what I signed up for, right? Number 7 is just being a better human being and knowing how to manage yourself before you can manage anyone else. Again, this is something I'm still experimenting with and something I'm still learning, right? But if you want to be able to manage 20, 30 to sales reps at a time, like you got to be prepared to wake up every single morning with a bunch of texts and a bunch of things you need to do. And you're like, oh my God, I forgot to do this. I forgot to do that. Dude, I need this payment link. Like just all these different things, right? You have to be prepared for that, right? Even little things like knowing what messages to respond to and what not to. Like a little thing that I'll do with my when I bring on new teams, like a lot of my guys have literally for literally no, if you're watching this is funny, but literally while I'm on this, it says Christian, can I get a fan base's 2Pay link for the 5K? You're in fan base's piece of shit. No, I'm just kidding. I love you, Noah. But here, I'm gonna pause it just for you. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Anyway, well, I think the last thing I was saying is like even knowing what messages to respond to and which not to. Not saying that I'm ignoring anyone, right? But like just even a little thing, like a lot of my guys when they get onboarded, they'll have like my real phone number, and I'll tell them like when they get onboarded, it's like do not message me on iMessage, message me on Slack, or else I'm not responding, right? So like for whatever reason, they want to message me on iMessage, so they'll message me on iMessage, and then I won't say anything either. I'll just like literally just respond to the question they sent on iMessage on Slack. They'll be like, "Yo," and I'll say, "What's up?" on Slack. And they're like, "Oh, I get the point," right? So just training your team to do what you want to. You don't have to be an asshole 24/7. That's not what I'm saying. Like, they'll think it's funny. Like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about that." Like just little things, right? So, and I even get in habits too where I'll send people text messages on iMessage like, wait, no, stop. I gotta do it over here, right? So just like knowing what respond or what message to respond to, what not to. Making sure you have your me time to eat clean, go on walks, go to the gym, even though like this is definitely not about balance. Like, dude, if I didn't get my full 8 hours of sleep and like I wake up every single day hungover, like I would have a crazy day every single day. Because I have 20 people hitting me up at all times, whether that's sales reps or students or whatever, right? And this is especially important when you're trying to manage multiple teams. Okay. So last thing is holding everyone to a very, very high standard, right? Especially when you're a chill, easygoing person like myself. This is where you're gonna have to have like either an alter ego and just to train yourself to not deal with these things anymore. Things like missing EODs, not showing up to calls, being late to team meetings. I'll be honest, bro. Do you think that I care that you missed your EOD for a day? No. Do I have to pretend like I care? Yes. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely days where I literally just don't check because I'm like, oh, my guys got it, and they don't, and then I'm at fault there or whatever. But like, do you think I care? No. Do I have to pretend like I care? Yes. If you're watching this, I do care. Sales reps. Anyway, but not showing up to calls, that's a huge one. Like I've had people just like, oh my God, I woke up late or whatever. Like, bro, like I'm very lenient with this stuff, bro. Cause like it's been closers that like have been with me for a long time. So it's like, okay, like is one mistake really worth it to just go let go of a closer that's closed millions of dollars? Probably not, but at the same time too, like I need to make sure that doesn't happen. So like I'll lower your priority on the calendar. I could even take you off the calendar for a day because you're doing stupid stuff, like just stuff like that, right? Being late to team meetings, like if I don't see a message from you and you're late, like why did that happen? How can we make sure that never happens again? Do I care if you're 5 minutes late? Probably not, right? But if you're just gonna be 5 minutes late every single day, like for example, I'll give you guys an example. I was being onboarded to a team. They already hired some people. It was a new offer though, and there's this guy that showed up late to 2 meetings back to back, and he was asleep both. It was like 11 a.m. Like if it was like 8 or 7 or 8 your time, like I could maybe understand, but it was 11 a.m. And I knew he was sleeping both times because he would get out of bed and he'd be like, hold on, and then he looks like half asleep still. I'm like, you were asleep, weren't you? I just had to fire him on the spot. Like, do I love firing people? No. Does it need to be done in order to send a message to the team and cut loose ends? Yes, it does, right? So, overall, I think that's it. Yeah, overall, this is what I've learned. This is what I have to implement, and this is how I had to go from. This is really what I had to learn from going from a 30K a month closer to a 100K a month operator. What I'll do too is I'll probably make separate videos for like all of this, like how I scale the team from 30K a month to 400K a month, $1.2 million launch, $4 million launch. I'll just show you guys like the in-depth processes of like how I did all these things. But first, I want to make a video, like the first video, either on this channel or the same channel of like why I even did this in the first place, what I'm even doing, and kind of like an introduction to like the new type of videos I'm going to be posting. So I really hope you guys enjoy this. If you guys do enjoy this, hit the subscribe button, click the like button, and I will see you guys in the next one. Let me know what videos you want to see next, and I'll see you guys next time.